moving into this one, it feels big. It's now or never. It's crunch time. Let's do it.
Just wanting to touch on what it was like for you in Pamplona, give the listeners a little bit of an insight to how it all unfolded.
I watched my teammates, my best mates, walk into the warm-up area from that fight looking defeated. And then we had to try and pull ourselves together and fight the team that ended up getting second, Iran. And I do think we were slightly underprepared for that.
I was having breakfast and this was the day of competition. And you were just like, Nathan, I'm just trying to keep the lid on. When
I trained with Araga, a big switch happened for me because he was asked a question, do you get nervous? And he said, if I've trained the hardest I can, why do I need to be nervous?
Welcome back to the Kaizen Culture Pod, where we are keeping the conversation moving within Australian karate. My name is Mitchell Durham, here as always with Nathan Blockley. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be on Apple or Spotify. We're also watchable on YouTube. While you're there, please check out the WKF YouTube channel to see the World Karate Cast and get your fix for all of the international events that we'll be covering over there. Also, while you're there, please give the podcast a rating if you're enjoying the content, because it's helping us out a bunch. Now, Nathan, you're still away. You're in a different location now. Where are you?
Yeah, it's sort of, this is becoming a theme a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a new set.
I'm in country France. I'm in rural France at the moment, traveling with my partner, Celeste. Just a bit of downtime before the World Championships. World Championships is going to be huge. Little insight exclusive. Kaizen Culture is the official media team of the World Karate Federation for that event. So we are going to have, and I just see our guests' eyes light up as well, which I love to see. Who's waiting in the pen? So we'll have 3 staff members there covering their social media. So super excited for that. But it's going to be a massive weekend. Yep, definitely. But yeah, in France at the moment, but still tuning in. I've sort of created this a little bit of a backdrop. Hopefully it's good enough, but I'm excited about what we're chatting about today. It's a little bit bittersweet, isn't it, Mitch? We're starting off with something a bit emotional, but then we get into some really good chats with our guests.
Absolutely. I completely forgot to put that in the run sheet there, that we are, we're servicing the World Karate Federation, and we're being the official media team as well. Another fantastic opportunity to be able to be over there with Chris and Anhud. You seem to be doing a really good job over there with those boys. And it really warms my heart to see you on that world stage. So I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, we're killing it. I'm really enjoying it. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that we get to be amongst the world's best, and that's Australians amongst the world's the best. Like, it brings the conversation back to Australia and what we're doing in the karate space. Every time we're at one of these world events, it highlights what we're doing in Australia, so being in and amongst it is such a privilege, and I hope we get to do much more of it, because it's definitely integral for our long-term vision of Kaizen culture and what we want to do for the Australian karate community.
Absolutely. World Championships we'll be leaving next week from Australia, which is insane to say. It's come up so quickly, but we're just going to start off with some pretty unfortunate news that broke a couple of weeks ago now, and it's quite tough to talk about, but unfortunately Daniel Thielen had suffered a bit of a knee injury in training, and has to get that sorted out, and he's going to be out for a little bit and had to withdraw from the World Championships, which really sucks, because it's just seems a bit unfair, and all injuries are unfair, but especially for Daniel, who's had an amazing run at the moment and really just sort of he's been in his prime for a while now, but has really felt like he's just settled into this groove, especially coming off of Malaysia, and it just sucks to see. And I just, I hope everyone gets around him and supports him as best as we can, and I hope he knows that everyone's there for him. But yeah, it just really, really hits home when you hear something like that happen to, especially a close friend. So that's rough.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any better word than just heart-wrenching. I mean, it's one of us who puts his whole being into doing the sport he loves. It's a hard thing for him to do between his full-time job in teaching and competing at this higher level, but he does it with all his being when he has the capacity to, and to see this end the year for him, it's heart-wrenching. But we know that he'll recover. He'll do, or he is doing everything in his power to make that recovery and come back. So we'll definitely see him next year. But yeah, gut wrenching, heart wrenching to see.
Yep. And a bit of sweet moment as well. So from this unfortunate situation, we're very lucky enough to have someone else fill that spot. And it's a bit of a hard thing to come about. But Angel Georgiev from New South Wales, because he got the silver medal in the Oceania Championships, he got that spot, which is a very deserved person to attend a World Championships and represent Australia, who's done it many times before. I think his last time at a World Championships was 2018, and two-time Premier League medalist, and was a very dominant force for a few years there. I know he took some time off, but he gets that call up, and I guess if you're in his position, you just take the opportunity. You can't say no to that opportunity, even though if it's an unfortunate one. But I'm very excited to have Angel on the tour again. But yeah, I think I sort of messaged him the other day, and he said he's just keen to bring that same experience that he always brings. And if you've been on tour with Angel, you'll know exactly what that feels like. But yeah, it's a good opportunity for Angel.
Yeah, Angel is back. I mean, it's great to see. He's definitely, when he came back to competition at the national level, you could see it wasn't just, oh, I'm just going to stick my toe in again. It was with some purpose, and the only reason why he would have said yes to seizing this spot and going to the World Championships is because he's very serious about competing for the Australian team again. So it's great to see him on the team. And I would like to ask you, Mitch, what is it like being on tour with Angel? Because I've never had the privilege myself. What sort of energy does he bring?
Well, I think it is a very fun energy. I feel a sense of stress sometimes, but maybe that's just me and my relationship with Angel. But no, he is a calming energy in the team, and he provides very good insight, especially if you have a one-on-one conversation with Angel. And I think he's just the person that we need on tour, just to sort of provide that little bit of I don't want to keep saying experienced energy, but it's very fun as well, so especially afterwards. But we'll get into that with Rory, because Rory has been on tour with him as well. He's a state team member with him as we've just seen before. He got the team event gold at national championships, so maybe we can discuss what it's like in that space with him. But first, we will go through this team once more. I know we've mentioned it in the previous episodes, but just to recap, from the male categories, we've got Dylan Fisher for Carter, Declan Squire, Rory Attridge, myself, Jonathan Freund, Angel Georgiev, and Reese Pryor for Para Karate. And then for the female divisions, we have Stephanie Domovska for female kata, then Celia Tran, Georgie Lawrence, Iris Webb, Laura Golding, and Crystal Boyce. Pretty stacked team there. I'm very excited. It's a young team. It's a good one there, Nathan. What are your first sort of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best of the best. We talked about how Angel has managed to get called up, and it's because of the depth we have in Australia. And this is the best of the best of that depth. So I think all of these athletes have a lot of confidence going into the World Championships. They're young, but there's quite a bit of international experience on this team as well. And especially being in a team where you have other people with significant international experience, you definitely feel supported by them, and it's going to impact how they perform. So no, I'm super keen for this World Championships. Like, it was the same going into Malaysia. We had the confidence to medal. I feel like the Series A was open to the entire world. It wasn't limited to outside the top 32. It had some of the best in the world competing there. so does this World Championships. I feel like the confidence should be riding high for these Aussie athletes, and pool play as well. So everybody's guaranteed fights. Everybody's guaranteed a little bit of second chance if things don't go their way in the first. I feel like the pool play really plays to our favour as an Australian athlete. So I'm super keen for Cairo, and to witness it, I cannot wait.
Yeah, pool play, Nathan. This is the first time the World Championships will be in that pool play system. It's literally another Premier League. It's the exact same format. So we'll be split up into groups. Everyone fights each other once. You proceed to the round of 16, and that'll be on one day, right? So you have your rounds. You move forward into the round of 16, and if you succeed, you go again on Saturday to fight in the quarterfinals, and also the semifinals, and then on Sunday, it's the finals. 3 days of competition. That's insane.
Yes, it's not for the faint-hearted, and that's exactly what we're talking about with Laura Golding on the previous pod. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because we go in depth about what this World Championships is going to be. And yeah, it's 3 days of competition, so you've got to be on it for all 3 days. And I think that's a great equality level, a leveler across all the nations. Like, nobody's done this format before in the world. You know, it's not existed at Premier League where you compete on 3 days. 2 days, yes. It's 1 day, which is a lot of it, and then one fight on the third day. But this is over 3 days, so it's a great equalizer when it comes to all the athletes.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see who can push through and come back. The recovery side of things is going to be very important. I hope everyone's bringing electrolytes and massage guns. Has someone got the boots or something? That's what I want to know. But yeah, we've got, for the tour, a bit of insight if anyone wants to know. We arrive Sunday. Monday's a bit of a chill day, but then we have training in the afternoon, Tuesday training, Wednesday training as well. And then we're straight into competition Thursday and Friday, which will be pretty cool. Just quickly going to mention that the officials and the admins and the coaches that are going. We have Ian Baskin, Marco Mazzanti as the administrators, Dean Marshall and Hani Zara as the officials. And then the coaches, we obviously have the head coach, Mark Golding for Kumite, and Noriko Miki for Kata, and then Robin Choi and Con Papanikolaou as the senior national coaches for that, which is a great team there. And I've got a lot of confidence going into Cairo with this whole squad. Nath, we're probably going to start moving on to introducing our big guest for this week. It's Mr. Rory Attridge. Love this man. He is a very charismatic person amongst the karate world. Now, it's not just in Australia, but worldwide. 11 years in the state team for New South Wales and 8 years in the national team from Shotokan Fit New South Wales division, which is very cool now they've got the branch over there. He's the number one male Kumite fighter in 67 kilograms going to Cairo. 4-time Oceania Champion, Australian Open Champion 3 times, and also the Men's Open National Champion 2022 in a great fight. I remember that. Who did he fight, that guy? Must have been a... Oh, yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, he beat me, that one. It was a good one. So annoying. I still hate him to this day. But I just want to say one more thing about Rory. Despite all the accolades, he's a junior world representative, senior worlds 2023, going for the second senior worlds. But I want to say that he's a big part of the culture within in Karate Australia. He's the epitome of a competitor. I think he's the complete summation of a fierce individual competitor, but he really deeply understands the need for team aspect, and he's one person that I definitely rely a lot on in terms of trying to cultivate a really good culture within the team. So I'm very, very proud to call him one of my great friends within the karate community, and I know that you have a great connection with him too, Nath. So yeah, it's awesome that we have him on today.
Let's bring him on. I cannot wait for this chat.
How the hell am I meant to follow an introduction like that? You say I'm charismatic, Mitchell, and then you go ahead and say all that wonderful stuff. My goodness.
But you are charismatic. Look at this introduction. Look at you. It's the pure form of charisma.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.
And he did also say he hated you to this day. So that was in there. It was definitely in there.
You know, all's fair in love and war. A bit of hate, you know. It was a great fight in that 2022 Open final, and don't worry, I'll just set the record straight. He got me back the following year. So there you go, Mitchell. You say all those nice things about me. We'll even the playing field there. But thanks for having me, Kaizen Culture. I'm honoured to be here.
This is very cool, Rory. It doesn't feel like a very official thing. We've been chatting for a little bit. We've actually had a couple of attempts at this, but yeah, it's exciting to have you on here, and I know that the karate community want to hear from you as well. It's not just you jumping on here, but I think a lot of people love to hear like what you do and how you're preparing for this World Championships. But do you listen to the podcast very often?
I'm not much of a podcast guy. As a male, I don't pride myself on my multitasking. So every time I try to put a podcast on, I usually just end up sitting in a chair and staring into blank space because I'm trying to just focus on the podcast. So I wouldn't really call myself much of a podcast guy, unfortunately.
That's all right. Well,
we also have, I don't know if you've heard, but we have a video edition of the podcast that you could watch as well. So you're not just staring out into blank spaces. We're actually on YouTube as well, Rory.
Call it out.
Fair bit. No, you're right.
Fair bit.
Anyway, let's get cracking into it. How you feeling for Cairo? We leave next week. We were just talking about. We've just read out the team list there. What comes to mind with this team and how you're leading into Worlds? You've obviously been on the world stage a couple of times in the juniors and also in the seniors, but also from the Team World Cup last year. So how are you feeling going into this one?
I'm feeling hungry, both genuinely hungry because I'm cutting weight to make 67 kilos, but just hungry for this competition. I'm so excited. I think it's a great team, and we've had a great year of preparation. So I know me personally, feels like a lot has been building to this competition, going from, you know, a couple of junior world representations and then the senior worlds and the World Cup experience that we all had last year in Spain. Moving into this one, it feels big, and it feels like it's now or never. It's crunch time. Let's do it.
Yeah, you take a lot of learnings from the tournaments that you compete at. Like I remember Budapest, you had both your individual and the teams, and you took some big learnings of some tough results from that. Karate World Cup, you were instrumental to the men's team, and you'd taken that experience on board at that comp. And then we've seen the success on the world stage that we saw in Series A. You had a phenomenal day. I think was it 4 fights in total?
That is a great question. And
1, 2, 3, 4 or 5.
I think it was it 5?
Yeah.
I think
It may have been 5. You got all the way to the pool final.
Yes.
Just before, or was it the quarterfinal? I think you got through to the quarterfinal just before the semi-final. Yeah.
That, I tell you what, I'd like to think so.
Do you quickly move on, or are you just a very bad person for memory? Like, is it?
I think a bit of both, but let's say I just quickly move on. No, I don't like to dwell on it. You know, there's only so many things we can control, especially as athletes when you're training and competing. So why would I spend the time focusing on the thing I can't control, which is what's just happened? All I need to then focus on is how can I get better? How can I grow from this? So I'd like to think from that, I'm able to just push on and move on to the next thing, and not dwell on it for too long, or else I just end up beating myself up. It's like, let's just get back to the dojo and work harder for the next one.
I think it's good to take a lot of great positives out of it in terms of your process and making sure that everything is in the right order, and knowing that, all right, everything felt great. Or did everything feel great? I actually don't know. Obviously, on the outside, it looked everything was good. But, yeah, did everything feel good, the process? And then, obviously, just things happen, you know? But, yeah.
I felt great. I felt good. The preparation, especially for Malaysia Series A, felt really, really good. I was hungry, was ready to rock and roll, and got out there and put on some good performances. But I think at the end of the day, I made a few very, very silly mistakes, more mental than anything, just switching off at the wrong time and not staying in the moment when I needed to, and that led to 2 losses on the day. But yeah, the preparation felt good out there on the mat, and then being able to look back on it and say, this did feel good, like you said, or this didn't feel good, and just make those adjustments leading into the World Championships was really big for me. And it was actually a great spot to be in after the Malaysia Series A, because it was like, you did well, but not good enough. You got to get better. You can't be making those mistakes at the World Championships, especially, 67 kilos is stacked at the moment. It's got some big names in it, and I'm stoked to be in there competing with them, but I'm not going to the World Championships just to participate. That's for sure. So coming off the Malaysia Series A, good confidence boost, but also a stark reminder of what needs to be done and what I got to do to make it work at the World Championships.
Yeah, because the only difference between you medaling and not medaling at that comp was those tiny mistakes. If it wasn't for those, you lost the fight to get in the semi-finals, which would have guaranteed you a fight for bronze, and then you lost the fight to get into the bronze medal match. So those are the only 2 fights, and they would have resulted in a chance at a medal, and they came down to the tiniest of mistakes. So that must feed you a lot of confidence that like 98% of the process and everything you did on that day was correct. And it got you all the way to that stage. And it was just those minute things that were the difference. So, and to make those mistakes, it's far better to make them in Malaysia than it will be in Cairo. So, and they were some of the world's best. So you must have a lot of confidence going into Cairo, but also, as you said, those stark reminders that you got to be switched on the entire time, because the difference between a medal and not a medal can be the tiniest of things, the tiniest of mistakes.
Absolutely. It's a game of millimeters. The game we play is literally a game of millimeters, and it's more important now than ever to be able to ensure that those adjustments can be made, because as you guys touched on in the intro, we're going into the pool system now. So if something does go wrong, we had a big learning curve in Pamplona, as I'm sure Mitch can attest to, fighting as the men's team, coming off a loss and then not being able to pull ourselves together, make the adjustments that were needed, and then go hard for it again. So it's really, really important now in the individual worlds as well, because you got to be able to go out there, perform, do your best, execute the game plan. And if something doesn't work, or you have those tiny, tiny little moments, address them, get back out there and do it all again.
How are you preparing for that emotionally? Because we've spoken about it a lot from Pamplona, and it was very different. I've done the Premier League system, and as an individual, it's very different to experiencing that as a team. And the weight of 8 guys in that group, when you lose, it's different, and we felt that together, and especially trying to get back on the horse so quickly. That was very, very hard, but the individual space is sort of a little bit different in your dealing with just your own self. How are you dealing with that emotionally? Are you sort of reflecting on Pamplona a little bit, or how does it go for you in your mind?
Definitely reflecting on Pamplona, and like you said, it's completely different I feel for the individuals. So for me, what I've found, or what I believe will work for me, is just focusing on the things that I can control, and just reminding myself that whatever happens, you just got to focus on the work. You've got to focus on the work that needs done, and that's the game plan. That's your ritual right before you walk on, all that sort of stuff. Everything you can control, focusing on that, so that when you get out there, in your heart of hearts that you have done everything you can to rebuild yourself and get back out there and do it.
just wanting to touch on what it was like for you in Pamplona, because obviously we've talked about it, but I just want you to take us back there a little bit and give the listeners a little bit of an insight to how it all unfolded, because I think it's quite interesting, and I think it's very valuable for a lot of people to hear how that all unfolded.
Yeah, that was a huge eye opener, that comp. That was a huge eye opener. And so my experience was I didn't get named in the starting five, so the team that went up against Croatia. So for me, I was there with the boys in the warm up. I do think as a team, this may have been down to me because it was me that suggested it, but we didn't quite warm up together as a team. I do think we were a bit disjointed in that fact, but my experience was I was there, I was with it, but then when it actually came down to it, I was sitting on the side and watching the boys go out against Croatia, and then I watched the boys go out against Macedonia. But just before the boys went out to fight Macedonia, Mark Golding, Sensei Mark, said to me, "Be ready. You're going to be next, and you're going to be first fight." So while the boys were out there, I was in the warm-up area, just getting myself ready to go. I had Willem Heber from New South Wales, and I had Tommy Olsen from Victoria back there with me. Tommy had also been named in that next five. So we were there getting each other ready, doing our warm-up. And then, unfortunately, the boys couldn't get the job done against Croatia. So I watched my teammates, my best mates, walk into the warm-up area from that fight looking defeated. And then we had to try and pull ourselves together and get back out there and fight the team that ended up getting second, Iran. And I was first fight, so I do feel like that responsibility did kind of fall to me. I knew I had to put on a performance, but I also knew that everyone needs their own sort of thing in that moment. In that moment of we've just lost, you may not have felt like you've done your best performance. I didn't know who would need a, hey, it's okay, bit of a softer touch, and who would need the, hey, pull your head out and get it together because we got a job to do. So I definitely felt like there was a bit of a gap there between the team that had just come back and then the team that were just going out. And it was really in that moment that we needed to know what each other needed, and we needed to know that as we're walking out there, each member could trust in each member to get out there and get the job done, do the work that they've been working on for the past years, the years that led up to that competition. So it was a big one, and I do think we were slightly underprepared for that.
Yeah, I mean, those are the learnings that you guys will take away from that comp. It would have been great to have like a little like cheat sheet as you were going into the competition with all the athletes and sort of what they need in the case event that you guys do take that first loss. Because it can be inevitable in these competitions. Like, as you say, it's a game of millimeters, but there's always potential to come back, you know. After one loss, it doesn't mean that you're out of the competition. So it would have been great to have that, but that's a learning from the comp. So what do you need, Rory? Like, let's say, God forbid, that you do go down maybe first fight in the World Championships, but your chances are still very much alive to progress through the pool stages. What regroups you? What does the coach need to say? What switches you back into all right, I'm going to get this second fight and we're going to get back on track?
Me personally, I need a firm hand. I don't want to be told, hey, everything's okay. You did a good job. You perform. No. You can tell me, hey, that was not good enough. You need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to switch back on right now. I don't want it to be sugar-coated. I want to be honest, and I want to be honest with myself if I know I didn't do the right work. Because if I'm lying to myself, then I can't trust myself when I go back out there. So I don't want anything sugar-coated. I want the truth. And yeah, I want to be hyped back up when I get back out there.
A slap in the face probably would work for you. Is that right, Rory?
Yeah, that would be great if you could provide that on the day, Mitchell. Like, God forbid. You're not on till the following day, I think.
I am on pretty much straight after you. So I reckon I'll be in the warm-up area, similar time. But we're not going to get to that. You're going to be going bomb, 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 bomb. I won't need to slap you in the face. You'll be sweet.
We're going to be too busy, mate.
Yeah.
I think what you need as a fighter, as you've just explained, speaks to your fight mentality. I mean, I think you're very unique when it comes to the Australian team and how you mentally prepare for a fight. I'm going to call back to the Series A in Malaysia because I love this quote for you, and you know exactly what I'm going to say. I was having breakfast, and this was the day of competition for Rory, and Rory's like a couple of tables across from me, and I don't think I said like how you feeling, Rory, because that's not what you want to be asked, sort of like of your day of competition, you know. But there was something along those lines, and you were just like, Nathan, I'm just trying to keep the lid on. I'm just trying to keep the lid on. And that encapsulates your fight mentality so well. It's like you are just trying to keep sane until you're let loose on that tatami. So I'd love to hear more about how you mentally prepare on fight day and leading up to fight day mentally. What's your philosophy?
So my mental preparation, I feel that these days, a lot of the time, mental preparation is just kind of spoken of, 1 or 2 days before your before the championships or a competition, or the day of, or the mental game starts months, weeks in advance from a competition. If I'm not every session giving my 110%, when it gets to the Series A, the World Championships, how can I fully back myself? If on competition day, I know that I've done everything I can and I've given it my all, then I'm good. If I get beaten, it's back to the drawing board, work a bit harder until you don't get beaten. I don't focus too much on how I'm going to hold myself on the day or anything like that. It's all the training leading up to it. Have I really given it my all? Can I truly back myself? And if I can, then it's all about keeping the lid on. Then it's about not blowing it at breakfast and, just swinging with whoever looks at me the wrong way. No, I don't get that bad. But
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
No, I mean, it is just a build-up, isn't it? It's such a build-up. It's like the steaming pot just rattling on the top until it explodes, and you can time that for when you walk out on the tatami. So I'm going to ask you a pretty frank question. What do you want to do to the person standing opposite you when you line up on that mat? What's going through your head? I want to know.
I just want to prove I'm better than them. I want to prove that I want it more than them. If I thought of genuinely taking their head off, then I'd probably be disqualified very quickly, which has definitely happened to me. Not proud to admit it, but when I'm standing there and I'm looking someone dead in the eye, I know in my heart of hearts that I want it more than them. I know that I've done everything I can, and I just want to prove that. I just want to prove I'm better than you. And that's winning to me. That's winning, proving you're the best.
Jeez, I just got goosebumps. That is so good. I'm ready to go. Get me on that plane. Let's go. I'm jacked up. That's so awesome. And it shows because like you're like a little caged lion on the line, and then it's just like you unleash it. You unleash it on the day. Do you ever find you swing too far the other side?
That I was hoping you would give me the chance to talk about that, because absolutely, it took me ages to find this balance of getting hyped up, and then I would sometimes 2022 Junior Worlds, I was out the back, and that was the culmination for me of about a 2.5 month tour I did in Europe, where I did 4 or 5 different competitions. Mitch and I did the Budapest Open that year, and I remember the Budapest Open, I got myself too hyped up. I was in the warm-up area, and by the time we got out there and you're mucking around with walking along, the competition was held on top of an ice rink. So you're walking along an ice rink to the holding area before you walk out onto the mat. By the time I was doing that, I drained myself. I wasn't ready to go. The lid had already come off because I was hyping myself up in the warm-up area, and then I couldn't perform. So when it got to Junior World Championships, I underwhelmed myself. I didn't give myself enough, and I didn't perform. So it's kind of been a tough journey figuring out what is enough and what's not enough. And when I trained with Araga Sensei, who won bronze at the Olympics, a big switch happened for me because he just said, he was asked a question, do you get nervous? And he said, basically, if I've trained the hardest I can, why do I need to be nervous? And that for me was a big moment of, right, it's not about on the day. It is, but that plus everything that you've done in the lead up to that needs to be taken into consideration on competition day. And just focus on the things you can control.
Jeez.
I'm loving that philosophy of like, I just want to prove that I'm better than you. And the evidence that I'm better than you is in all the training I've done up to this point and built up that pressure. So like, that's such a great way to encapsulate karate. And it is exactly what the referees want to see as well. The referees score the person they think is better. So it's like, I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to prove that I'm better than you in front of these referees, and they're going to give me the fight. And there's nothing you can do about it. I love to hear it, Rory.
There's that moment when, you've scored a couple of points, and at that point you can start looking for some fancy stuff. And that's the, I got you. I'm better. And that's when you got to learn. It's important, of course, to know where our shortcomings are, but you got to make sure you build on stuff like that. Carry that through. Find out what's working. Robin Choi was great with doing that at the Malaysia Series A with me. I started, scoring a lot of kizamis, and when I went away from that, she just went, "What are you doing? Get back to what's working. Build on that. Keep going." And that's the kind of energy you want to carry through in your fight, I feel.
Mate, that is so fantastic. And I feel like you were like almost directing that to me. I was like, I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll trust my.
I only accepted this podcast so I can just like get us riled up.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, let's go. You're talking about doing the work as well and trusting that your work is at the level and it's enough. You live a very busy life outside of this little lab that you're in at the moment, which I love, by the way. It's a good lab. It looks like it's been copped a few. Have you got some shins in the poles? It's pretty hectic over there.
Yeah, look, don't worry about all that, okay? It's all above board. That's all that matters. That wall, you can ask the training partners who train here, that wall is slowly falling apart, but the nature of my job, I'll find some time to fix it. It's all good.
Are you sure? Because you're a very busy boy. You're working
I'm an
full
optimist.
time. You're what are you? A plumber? Is that right?
That hurts.
You're a plumber.
You know how much that hurts.
You're a cabinet maker. Is that right?
No.
No. You're a carpenter.
I am a carpenter by trade, yes.
You're a carpenter by trade. You're building stuff all the time. But it's a very taxing job and you've got a lot of hours filled up by that. And that's not obviously just physical, but it's mental work as well. So it's super draining. How do you go with balancing everything and also accepting that the work that you've done is enough and you can trust that that's preparing you well for Cairo?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the time I don't, to be honest, I don't balance it. It is tough, and sometimes you are just scraping by, and forever feeling like you're catching up is a real tough thing that I struggle with day in, day out, and that question of, am I really doing enough, always comes across my mind. But for me, I just get back to, or how bad do I want it? How bad do I want it? And what do I need? What do I need to get done to have this dream, this goal kind of happen? If I really want it that bad, I'm going to make it work. And a lot of the time, I really find leading quite a busy life with full-time work and then training with, limited resources. A lot of the time for me, just writing things down, getting it out of your head onto a piece of paper. I have an amazing journal that my wonderful girlfriend Senna bought me for Christmas last year. It's a journal based around, athletes. So it's really cool. And I just take things 24 hours at a time. What do I need to get done in the next 24 hours? Write it all down. And that just takes the decision making out of it, which is one less draining factor for me. So I know I'll work 5:30 or 6 a.m. till 2 or 3 o'clock. And I know when I come back exactly what I'm going to train because I've wrote it down. I planned it out the night before. I don't have to think, okay, what am I going to do? Is this going to be the right thing to do? I've already made that decision. So from there, I just get in, get it done. And I think as well, whenever I do get a chance to just sit back and chill, I'm absolutely going to take it. I love a good nap. And I mean, Mitch can probably attest to this. I love a good nap. Mitch and Nathan can attest to this. So any chance I get, I'm taking that downtime because it allows me to just go for it more in the times that I need to.
You and Daniel are like top 2 spots for best sleepers. And Nathan as well. Nathan's pretty bloody good at it. I actually don't know who takes the podium spots there, but you're very good, Rory. And it's like a skill that I need to learn.
Yeah, well, as the wise and wonderful Daniel Thielen says, you just close your eyes, mate. Just close your eyes. I'm sure Nathan knows all about that, right, Nate?
Oh, yeah, it's automatic at that point. Close your eyes and you're done. I don't even need to do that Daniel Thielen, put my toes to sleep, put my shins to sleep. I don't need that. Just close your eyes.
I wonder if Daniel Thielen ever knew that we'd be talking about him falling asleep on a podcast, with the toes.
I think that is the only thing I think we've talked about his sleep technique more than we've talked about his jab.
They're both equally impressive,
I would love for you to go into a little bit more depth on the whole journaling, because this is something that's come up a couple of times recently in the podcast scene. Our World Karate Cast episode that we had with Ariel Torres. Again, if you haven't checked it out, it's on the World Karate Federation YouTube channel. Go watch it. He has a very detailed journal, and he's been doing it his whole life, and he attributes a lot of his success and his ability to progress in kata to that journal. So this is quite a recent adaptation for you, is it, Rory? What do you do with it? Like, I know you schedule trainings and you're very disciplined, so you can hold yourself accountable to say, I wrote this down that I was going to do this, so I will do this. That's a very important skill. But also, how do you reflect on sessions? How do you write down things that you need to work on? What's the process when it comes to journaling for you?
So for me, it is mainly about the scheduling. And a lot of that I picked up from working in the construction industry and stepping up into a more management and supervision role. I have to keep a detailed diary of where I am and what I'm doing every day. And I just found that it really helped me when I would write down what I've done in a day at work and then plan out my following day. It would really allow me to then switch off from work once the day ended. So over probably the past 12 months since I've got the journal, I've taken that on. So it is quite recent, and it's less about the reflecting for me and more about more about the accountability and the discipline, like you touched on there, Nath. It's this needs to be done. When am I going to do it? And how am I going to get it done? And that allows me to be way more present in just the day that I've planned, so that I don't need to necessarily go back and reflect and write down every little tiny note, because I was able to be present in the moment. Let's take a training session, for example, because we do karate. And in a training session, I'm not worried about, okay, I need to remember this and write it down and move on, because I'm so focused in those 2-3 hours that I train for that I'm able to make adjustments and corrections as I go, which is a large part of that is the type of training that I do with the limited space. There's a lot of repetition and there's a lot of technical work. So that allows me to kind of make the adjustments as I go. But I think it's very important to do that in training sessions so that when it comes to competition, you know that your body can make adjustments if something isn't working.
Do you focus this journal on weight cutting at all?
That is a fantastic question.
Because we all want to know this. I love it. I think it's great. I love going on tour because I just have to cut a little bit. And it's just awesome to see the process that you go through. And I'm amazed every single time at how you do it. It's crazy how much weight you cut. But you're so disciplined and you're always very sprightly in certain situations. And if anyone doesn't get on your bad side or annoy you a little bit, you're actually quite pleasant to deal with, unlike some people. Barney Gill was horrible to deal with. But yeah, do you use this journal to reflect on your weights and write things down and things like that?
Yeah, not really. I definitely record my weights. So that's just another thing that I can look back on and go, yep, cool. I'm shedding about 1 kilo a week and I know I can do that. So I can start this far out. And then I always push it too far and it ends up being the worst 2 to 4 weeks of my life that I'm currently in. But I use it a lot, just going back to the scheduling side of things. I use it a lot to plan out what I'm going to eat. So when I do that, and let's say I come back from a big day of work or I come up upstairs, which is where my kitchen is, from a hard training session, I'm not scrambling to try and find something that fits in the weight cut that I'm going to eat. I know, okay, I've planned out. I know that this is in the fridge, so I'm just going to have that. And that really helps me when I'm so focused on cutting weight. Again, it's just one less decision to make, and it allows me to function, I think, a bit better when there's less decisions to make in the day. But yeah, my weight cutting process is not really something I would recommend. I have very
You have fortunate genes, I think.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
Okay, let's go with that.
Is that what you were getting at?
No, I was going to say probably not a very intelligent way of doing it. But it works for me, and I found it really works for me. So I just do long fasting periods throughout the day, kind of around that 18-hour mark of just fasting. You know, maybe I'll treat myself to a coffee, but no meals for about 18 hours. And then I try and always do some sort of training before I eat something. If I've had a big day at work, up and down ladders or running around lifting big heavy timbers, I'll treat myself to something when I get home. But I've found that the long fasts, a high protein, high fats, low carbs diet really works for me. And it's hell for about, let's say I usually do it over about 4 weeks. It's hell for about 2 weeks. And then it gets to this point halfway through where I'll be in a training session and I'll do something and it feels really good. And a lot of the time, the person I'm training with will go, oh, that was good. And I have this click where my body has almost just hit this point where it's being efficient and it works and I feel good. And weirdly, that is the worst part of the weight cut because I know, damn, now I have to keep going with this because I'm starting to feel good. And I know that it will pay off when it comes to the competition day. But yeah, so it's quite unique. I know someone like Declan Squire, who is cutting down to under 60. He has a very meticulous way of doing things, and he's really good with measuring out his foods and stuff. I've found that that's not really for me. I don't know if that's because I'm impatient or what the reason for that is, but I do think that this method that I've found really pays off for me. So I'll cut about, the most I've done is 11 kilos. That's not true. I don't know why I lied. I've got right up to about 79 kilos after after I can't remember what competition that was.
Oh my goodness.
I think that was actually Nationals 25.
Oh,
We went away for my brother's 18th birthday, and when I came back, I was late 78 kilos, and I managed to get down to 66 for Malaysia. I think I weighed in at 66.3 or something in Malaysia, and that was done over about 4 weeks. 2 weeks of just strict no carbs, high protein, 1 meal a day sort of thing, and then the 2 weeks prior to that, I was doing about an 18-hour fast with about 2 meals a day, treating myself to some carbs before training. I know, so naughty. But yeah, that stage kind of halfway through when we get it's happening now really. I'm starving at the moment, but I just had a training session before jumping on here with you guys. The body feels good. I feel light. I feel quick. And I know what you're going to say, Rory, why don't you just stay at that weight? Well, I like food too much. Okay. I love food. And I'm just going to eat what I want when I want and have a bad weight cut experience.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Like 11 to 12 kilos in 4 weeks weight cut. That is insane. But I think the most important takeaway from what you've just said then is that it's a proven method. It works for you. You've done it before. I'm sure you've gone through the period where some weight cuts weren't working for you very well and you didn't feel great out on the mat. And I think that's what you have, although like your weight cutting style and Declan's is very different when it comes to approach. What you have in common is you both find that it's worked for you in the past, or it's a proven thing, and you get to the point where you feel great as an athlete. You feel light, you feel fast, and it works for you. So I think that's the most important thing when you are weight cutting, is that that it works for you already, and you get to the point where you feel like an incredible athlete, and you're like, this is how I want to walk out onto that tatami.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is the mental side of the weight cutting game as well, for sure. I think the fast put me in a good mental state for, kind of sharpens me up a bit. My body's doing less, so that always helps. And it's also coming back to that thing of, if I'm standing across from another 67 kilo fighter and I've just had 2 weeks of hell on a weight cut, I want it more than that person. And I'm out there to prove it. So it definitely puts me in the right headspace as well.
so good, dude. It speaks to your commitment to the game and to the sport, but also your process and just trialing a few things here and there. I think it's important to reflect on those things and remembering that, when one thing you tried one thing, that didn't maybe work the way you wanted it, go back, change that, and just, it's a very, very long journey. And I like where you're at the moment with the journal, trying to dump everything down and free some space in your brain just to allow for that, just that freedom for you to not to limit your burnout, which is huge, and something that a lot of athletes face, especially coming from Australia, where we have to do so much and we have to live a life and earn money, and this karate stuff is really just a glorified hobby almost, but we're still committing the same amount of energy to try to become world champion. And I think it's amazing to hear your perspective on that. There's honestly so many things we'd love to talk about, Rory. We might have to get you on for another episode to touch on some other things if you'd have us.
When I win the world championships, we'll come back. I'll bring the medal back and we'll do it again, right?
Clip this up and save it and put it on the reels. I think we're going to make it official, because you've got to keep you to your word to make sure that you are standing across from a lion. You are the lion standing across from someone that is fearful of you. There's one thing before we want to end this podcast, Rory. We had a few listener comments and questions come through, and one thing that's sticking out for me, Mr. Jess Bromley has asked, when are you moving to Perth?
That is a fantastic question. I wonder if we need to maybe save that for the next podcast.
Stop dodging the question. Stop
No,
dodging the question. We've been talking about this for 3 years.
it's been a long time coming, and it most definitely is on the cards. I'm definitely not staying in Sydney for much longer, as I'm sure a couple of people, in the circle know. My beautiful partner Senna and I have been doing long distance for 6 years now, and
For too long.
too long, and just ask us both, and we'll tell you that it's far too long. But we love every time we get over to Perth, and we love the people over there, especially the Kaizen culture crew. Love those guys. So it's look. Don't shake your head at me like
You
that.
just
Mitch.
keep buttering us up.
Yeah, I'm
You build us
just gonna
up.
keep buttering until I'm there.
Hey, you're always welcome. You're always welcome. I had my own sort of listener comments and question, if that's okay.
Please.
What's your biggest advice for anyone coming through now wanting to pursue representing Australia at a senior world championships? I feel like this is something that you've worked a lot on, and I know this probably could bump out the podcast episode a little bit longer than usual, but I just love your journey and the way that you've come through the junior ranks, and it's something that we wanted to do for a long time. And I don't know, you're always a very good junior coming through. But yeah, I just want to know what your little piece of advice transitioning from juniors all the way to seniors and following that journey, and take that anywhere you like,
Yeah, that is a really big question, because as I think what I'd have to say is just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it because you've set your mind to it and it's a goal of yours, work hard at that goal and go for it. If you're doing it because you love the sport, make sure you enjoy every step of the way. I think that is probably the biggest thing, because I know that I personally struggle with enjoying the sport of karate sometimes. I do think sometimes it feels like I put a lot in and don't get a lot back. And I'm sure everyone who's kind of been through the levels and then gets to this kind of end stage where we are representing Australia and heading overseas kind of feels that to an extent. So, but the reason I'm still sticking at it is because I got a goal and I want to be the best, and I want to prove that, and I want to compete at the highest level. So when I struggle with that motivation of, am I really enjoying this anymore? I just come back to the goals, come back to what I want and how bad do I want it. But I do think the journey of getting there, just take it all in, love it. And one last piece of advice, sorry, Kaizen Culture, I will let you go soon, is just do all the competitions you can. Competition is so much fun. Don't worry about winning every single little competition and not getting a point scored. Just go for it. That is where you're going to learn the most. That's where we're going to have the most fun. Every comp you get a chance to compete in, go for it. Go for it. Those are my 3 pieces of advice. You asked for one, you got 3.
I actually have one more question for you, Rory. So I know that was a great way to sign off the podcast, but I'm going to ruin all of that because I really want to know this. Touching on that, with the advice of people growing up in this sport and striving for this competition and these accolades, what has it taught you individually? And also, like, how has it translated into other facets of your life, like professionally, etc.? What's karate given you? What has this pursuit given you?
I think work ethic's probably the biggest thing. I think just learning to, even little things like showing up for time on showing up for training on time. That is something that, you got to carry through into your work, working hard and seeing the results come. And then when they don't come, well, you just got to take that for what it is and move on. I think there's so many great lessons you can learn from karate, but discipline and resilience are probably the 2 biggest things that you'll get out of it if you truly commit yourself.
Huge, Rory.
And it's so valuable to have those as an individual. Like that's the staple of a martial artist, a karateka. And yeah, I completely agree with you that goes so far in the outside world. So no, I appreciate you sharing that, Rory.
Roy, it's been a pleasure to have you on here today. And like I said, we might have to get you on again because I think you're a natural at this. You don't listen to podcasts, but you're a bit of a podcaster guest to yourself. I love it. It's really great.
I'm definitely better at talking than listening. Just ask anyone who knows me.
I'll ask Senna how good your listening skills are.
Oh, yeah, she'll tell you. Don't worry.
No, Rory. Thanks so much, mate. And I get to see you next week, which is I'm very much looking forward to it.
Come on.
Keep doing yourself, what you're doing. Obviously you're doing some great things, and you look like you're in a good space. And I look forward to seeing what you can do in Cairo, mate. Thanks again.
Kaizen Culture, thank you so much for having me. One last thing before I go, I just wanted to send my best personally to Daniel Thielen. Obviously, it is a tough time for you, mate, and you've always got all of us behind you, so sending you much love.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Rory, for this episode. It's been enlightening, and and it's been great to just get an insight into how you're feeling going into the biggest competition in the last 2 years.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Much love, much appreciation. Keep doing what you're doing, Kaizen Culture.
Man, Nathan, all these episodes, I feel like they just keep getting better and better. We need to have him as like a consistent part of this podcast. What do you reckon?
He really was a natural, and it's just because he's a passionate guy. He's a charismatic guy. He's a passionate guy, and he loves his competing. And it was just so valuable to get such a great insight from one of Australia's best, and somebody that I have high hopes for coming into this World Championships, because he's at the prime of his career, and he's still so young. So much potential in that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the learnings that he's taken over the last few years all just comes into one at this competition, and I just hope that he finds that sweet spot that he's been sort of flowing into, and as that goes for everyone on the team. I'm so excited to travel with this squad, and to see how everyone goes on this world stage in Cairo. It's going to be a big week. It's going to be massive for you, Nath. I'm excited to catch up with you next week. It's going to be good.
100%. And to touch on that with the team going over, the support crew, as you listed them before, all the officials, the coaches and the administrators there's a lot of people to support the team. So, I mean, the team members lean on that support team. We felt that in Malaysia. It was such a valuable thing to have. We're really sending the best of Australia over to this Worlds, and I've got sneaky high hopes. Hey, it only takes a great day. That's all it takes. Well, this one, it's a great 3 days. It only takes one great comp, and greatness can happen, and it's achievable for all of these athletes.
I agree, and that's something that I like what you're saying, touching on, because that's definitely our greatest strength as a nation, and we're going to need it as well. So we're one of the largest represented countries at this World Championships, which is amazing, and I dare say that we will probably be the loudest, if not the loudest, besides Egypt, in that venue, and it's a big venue to fill. So it's going to be some big energy there. All of the streams should be on the WKF YouTube channel, so make sure you watch that. There should be updates on when everyone's on. But yeah, make sure that anyone listening just sends all the love to this team going over and get around them. It's been real good leading into this championships. Anything else you want to say, Nath?
No, not really. I'll reaffirm what Rory was saying, that our thoughts go out to Daniel, and it sucks that he's missing this championships, but we know that he will be back, and he's still a very integral part of the Australian team. So he's got all the support that he could ever hope for behind him, and we're all thinking of him during this time.
As always, please let us know your thoughts and opinions. After all, we're an organisation for you. We want to keep this running as best as we can. Maybe not over Christmas time, but we might take a little break after. I think we'll do one more episode after the World Championships, I think it is. Or is it a couple?
Yeah, good. Good World Championships recap and also sign off the year. It's been an incredible year. It's been a huge year. We've got some big things planned for 2026. So that will be maybe a bit of a lengthy episode, I reckon.
I reckon so too. So yeah, keep engaging with us and letting us know what you want to hear from us and anything that you maybe want to see for us for next year. We'd love to find that out. But as always, it's a pleasure. Thanks, Nathan, and I can't wait to see you soon.